Top 10 Best Horror Movies of 2021. The horror genre is fascinating to some, but absolute gore and scary for others. If you are a fan of horror movies, watch this whole video as we will be listing down the top 10 best horror movies of 2021. Stay tuned. Number 10. Gaia. The R-rated movie is filled with bloody images and violence. The story follows two off-the-grid survivalists who assist a wounded forest warden on a regular expedition. As the boy and his renegade father exhibit a cultish attachment to the forest, what begins as a happy rescue becomes questionable. When their home is attacked by a weird creature, it becomes obvious that there is a far bigger danger lurking in this harsh environment. The film received 81% at Tomato Meter, and the critics also shared positive reviews. Sheila O'Malley from RogerEbert.com gave the film a 3 out of 4 star rating. She described it as a thought-provoking and disturbing experience, with a lot to say about humanity's destruction of the environment. But the film says it with creativity, mad flights of imagination, and even humor. The director, Jaco Bauer, was applauded for the film visuals as well. Number 9. The Power. The Power is a British horror film starring Rose Williams, Emma Rigby, Charlie Carrick, and Devine Henry. 1974 London. Val, Rose Williams, a student nurse, comes for her first day at the decaying East London Royal Infirmary as Britain prepares for nationwide blackouts. Val is forced to work the night shift after the majority of the patients and employees were transferred to another hospital, leaving her in a dark, mostly empty facility. A terrible secret lurks behind these walls, requiring Val to confront her own tragic history as well as her darkest fears in order to combat the malicious entity bent on destroying all around her. The movie managed to gather 83% on Tomato Meter. The critics praised the talent of writer and director Corinna Faith, while Rose Williams' performance in the film was also admired. Number 8. Jacob's Wife. Jacob's Wife is another horror thriller of 2021, which revolves around Anne, who is married to a small-town pastor. She feels as though her life and marriage have shrunk over the last 30 years. She gains a new sense of power and a hunger to live larger and braver than before after a fortuitous encounter with the Master. The corpse count rises as Anne is caught between her alluring new life and the old one, and Jacob realizes he will have to battle for the wife he took for granted. Jacob's Wife has 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, as Barbara Crampton, Larry Fessenden, and Bonnie Aarons feature on screen. The Los Angeles Times praised the performance of the lead cast as they brought their characters to life, instilling fear in the audience. Number 7. Werewolves Within. Werewolves Within is another film with strong language, R-rated scenes, and bloody violence throughout the course of the 1 hour 37 minutes. The story starts after a proposed pipeline divides the small town of Beaverfield, and a snowstorm traps its residents inside the local inn. Newly arrived forest ranger Finn, Sam Richardson, and postal worker Cecily, Milana Ventrub, must try to keep the peace while uncovering the truth about a mysterious creature terrorizing the community. The film was largely praised by the critics with iconic direction by Josh Rubin and the writing of Misha Wolf. The main lead performances were admired, while the perfect blend of comedy and horror was a cherry on top. The movie received 86% Rotten Tomatoes too. Number 6. The Djinn. A new house may be frightening, even if it's simply because it's strange. The most terrifying aspect of The Djinn, a new horror film about an evil genie stalking a silent preteen kid, is this. Dylan, Ezra Dewey, a silent 12-year-old who, when left alone by his single father, Michael, Rob Brownstein, chooses to conjure a hostile spirit from an excavated tome named the Book of Shadows. He summons the Djinn to grant his wishes, but what Dylan didn't know was that his soul has to pay the cost of summoning a ghost. With an interesting plot to keep you hooked, The Djinn has amassed 88% on Tomato Meter. The other critics admired the film for its 80s setting, its depiction, and the imagery. Number 5. Violation. Violation is a Canadian horror film directed and written by Madeline Sims Fewer and Dusty Mancinelli. It's their debut feature, which turned out amazingly well. The plot revolves around a dramatic betrayal drives a woman toward a vengeful extremity. Miriam travels to her hometown, where her marriage is ready to disintegrate, to seek consolation from her younger sister and brother-in-law. Miriam is stunned, bewildered, and outraged after a minor lapse of judgment leads to a terrible betrayal one evening. Miriam believes her only option is to get revenge, but the cost of vengeance is expensive, and she is unprepared for the toll it takes as she begins to emotionally and psychologically break down. The film gathered 87% on Tomato Meter with an average rating of 7 out of 10. The critics applauded the film and the directors, as Toneless Laughley from Variety says, despite some heavy-handed choices, Madeline Sims-Fewer and Dusty Mancinelli pack a profound gut punch with their debut feature. Number 4. Censor. Censor is a horror mystery thriller directed by Prano Bailey Bond. He had co-written the film with Anthony Fletcher. The story surrounds Enid, who takes pleasure in her careful work as a film censor. She is protecting unwary viewers from the harmful consequences of viewing the gore-filled decapitations and eye gougings she examines. Her remorse at her inability to recollect specifics of her sister's long-ago disappearance, just pronounced dead in absentia, heightens her sense of duty to protect. Enid begins to explore how this strange work could be linked to her history when she is asked to evaluate a horrific video from the archive that mirrors her foggy childhood recollections. Nicholas Burns, Niama Algar, and Vincent Franklin take the lead roles in this film. It takes 88% Rotten Tomatoes successfully, while one critic, Simon Abrams from RogerEbert.com, says, "Censor is, in a sense, a success if only because it winds you up and leaves you wanting a lot more where it came from." Number 3. Till Death. Till Death is a horror action thriller that marks the directorial debut of S.K. Dake. Megan Fox and Callan Mulvey take the lead as the story starts when Emma wakes up tied to her deceased husband after a passionate evening in their remote lake house. She's trapped and secluded in the middle of winter, and she has to face hired murderers to get out of her husband's sick scheme. The film is R-rated with violence and strong language. Rotten Tomatoes gave 88% ratings, and the critics also praised Megan Fox's acting. Dake's direction was also applauded too. A. Manuel Battencourt in Variety claimed, "Even as the twists and turns get even more preposterous, S.K. Dake's direction and Megan Fox's commitment go a long way toward making Till Death a glossy, entertaining lark." Number 2. Fear Streets Part 3, 1666. It is an American supernatural teen horror film based on the book series of R.L. Stine. It was the final installment of the trilogy. The story revolves around a witch hunt that grips a colonial town in 1666. It comes with fatal implications for upcoming generations. On the parallel plot, youngsters in 1994 strive to break their town's curse before it's too late. The critics gave positive reviews and called it a perfect conclusion to the trilogy, while 90% of Tomato Meter was in the movie's favor as well. Number 1. A Quiet Place Part 2. It is a horror film with PG-13 warnings, disturbing images, and violence. A Quiet Place Part 2 is a sequel that continues the story of Abbott's family. The film received positive reviews from reviewers and audiences for the tight script and plot tension and got 91% on Tomato Meter. It shows the first day the extraterrestrials came. Evelyn Abbott travels with her newborn baby and 2 older children, Millicent Simmons Reagan and Noah Jupes Marcus, in search of a new home after their farm becomes uninhabitable. As they venture into the unknown where creatures hunt with sounds, it poses a great threat to their life. That's a wrap of today's video. Which movie are you looking forward to? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content. Hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.